Hey everyone, welcome to the Discover Virginia podcast. I'm Joseph Trahan, your host for the #1 video podcast in Virginia, where we explore the rich history, vibrant culture, and iconic businesses that make our Commonwealth truly special and worth talking about. So get ready as together we discover Virginia. Hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Jean Narcisse Djaha. He is the really global thought leader behind a lot of great work happening in and around the Tidewater region, and also functions as the CEO of the Economic Club of Virginia. Jean, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. We're so glad to have you. Let's start off by diving into your journey. So I'm curious, what initially sparked your interest in economics and led you to where you are today?
I have a long history in developing programs, and this started in my college years. I used to found a little economic club in my college. So at that moment, I knew where I was going. I know what my passion was, and that's where everything started. So since 1997, I've been involved in a lot of international programs. I used to coordinate programming in over 35 African countries. I know every single country in West Africa, from Ghana to Liberia to Central Africa. I've been working on a lot of international great programs. And when I moved to Virginia, something I like to do is that when I come to a place, I like to be fully involved in the community. So, and I come from Africa, and based on my this good experience, I wanted to see how I can create a platform where I can engage, and not only leaders in the Hampton Road area, but leaders in Africa who can come together and work together. So that's the whole plan of the program. And we are doing it.
I love it, Jean. And you're speaking our language, working together, coming together in our community, support one another. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on today. So I understand you're not originally from Virginia. Would you mind sharing a little bit more behind where you're from? And of course, what brought you to the Virginia Beach area? And what got you to stick around and start working to build your life and your business here?
I come from Côte d'Ivoire, and a little city, the second largest city called Bouaké in Côte d'Ivoire. And I grew up in this area. I went to school my formative years there, and I moved in the state in 2017 after I got a green card. The green card is a program where you apply, and then if you get selected, then you plan to come to the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes. So before that, I volunteered at the U.S. Embassy of my country for about 13 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
representing your country in Africa, and as an ambassador, that sounds like a huge feat. Like how did that come about? So college, you're getting the feel for economics and policy and community. Then how did you get to that next step? What was that like?
Yes. Fourth, I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I have the honor to be working with a priest, an Israeli priest that used to live in my community. Mm-hmm. And they go to each high school and college to select young people who can do the job. So when he went to my school, the head of school told him that I got somebody here. He might be a visionary leader. So I wanted to talk to him and understand his passion, and so that I can be able to guide him.
Yeah.
So
kind of like a mentorship.
A mentorship. So yeah. So he went to my classroom, and then we spoke. The first day he told me that you are the guy, you're my man. I'm gonna be working with you, for a long time. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2010. And so he followed me for many years, and that's where everything started. So he allowed me to lead local international programs in economic development for women, young people. So that's where everything started.
Yeah.
Until now, and he has never stopped.
And that was in Côte d'Ivoire.
In Côte d'Ivoire.
Wow.
Côte d'Ivoire.
So you've been involved in lots of developments and businesses, and also book writing. I understand you have a PhD, so lots of writing and reading, right?
Yes.
Can you share more about these specific pursuits and how they've influenced your career? I mean, you have this innate ability to always be writing and learning and studying. Like, where does that come from? And of course, how has that really helped you promote your career forward?
Yes, I remember in 1997 when the same priest that so when he went to my classroom and then he chose me, he told me that you're going to be a great writer. And at the time, I was leading the local school magazine, and you have to publish 2 articles per month. And my article were like somebody who already has a PhD. So he told me that you're going to be a great writer. So that's where we started. So from that area, from that moment, I knew that I could develop some skills in the writing, and I continued, until today. I've been able to review, I don't know how many books I'll be able to review for leaders in government. And at the same time, I'm not in the media, but I got friends like journalists. I used to review their works in different capacities, and so this shaped my not only my work and my writing perspectives. So I decided to publish work to inspire other young people to inspire other young people in the areas. So I write in a lot of topics. I have my background, my educational background comes from journalism, education, trade, business, and government. So I write on So when I wake up and something comes on my mind, I just publish something on that. So I have 4 books, and my 5th book is coming in December this year. And this will be talking about trade.
Yeah.
Because in Africa, we have what they call the African Free Trade Agreement that is going on. And this is going to be a great platform where countries can trade among them. So, and because for me, from my experience, when we talk about economic world order, it has always come from trade. And I'm announcing the Free Trade is coming to announce a new economic order in Africa. So the book is almost ready, and it will be out in 3 or 4 months.
Very, very cool. And we'll definitely touch on those books later on in the segment because I want to highlight those. But first, I want to get back to this passion that you have. I'm not sure if it's a passion or an obsession. So help me out with this of just constantly reading and wanting to write. It's incredible. It's contagious. I mean, as I was preparing for this, I was like, I need to write more. Jean, is there a certain piece of literature or possibly story that you find the most inspiration in when you read it and even as you revisit it?
Yes. And I remember I was the first, among the first readers when the U.S. Embassy in my country opened a library.
Wow.
And if you go back today, you see my name, I almost read 1,000 books, So that's where everything started. So I read about politics, I read about, trade, about economic development. So it's a real passion.
Yeah.
It's a real passion because, I want to be able to express fully, my ideas, and for me, a better way to make it last is to put it in a document.
Absolutely.
And books are like a way for me to communicate. So not only those books, but in my plan I have about 10 books that are almost ready that will be released in those coming years. So I want to inspire young people to be able to and also there's a lesson that no matter where we come from, you can always do better and achieve your dreams.
Yeah, always be learning, always be improving.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your business journey, specifically with the Economic Club of Virginia. Can you give us an overview of its mission and the role that it plays within the local economy?
Yes. So I started this club back to 2020 before COVID. I had about 85 members from those 3 countries, from Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Nigeria. But, we lost all the members because we have to stop with COVID and, rebuild the mission. So for me, I've taken some time to analyze what young people really need right here. And people talk about sometimes training, talk about, but they, after I speak to many young people, what they need the resources to be able to thrive. And these resources, they lack those. So we want to connect those young people with the resources they need to thrive. So not only they need capital, they need money to fund the programs. I spoke to 3 investment banks, and they say when we go to the website of those businesses, they lack board members, they lack real structures. So I say, wow. So I told them that. So you mean that young people are giving you idea? The argument to not funding the programs. They said no. I said okay. I want to be thinking about creating a platform where we can solve those problems. Now, go back to you and ask for money to fund the programs. So that's the vision that we are trying to implement, to connect those young people with the resources they need to be able to thrive in those 3 countries and also locally right here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of the 3 countries you're referring to in Africa, those are your favorite, right?
Yes. Yes.
What 3 of those?
We have Cote d'Ivoire, my homeland. We have Senegal. I spent almost my studies in this country. In Nigeria, I spent almost about 20 years with those people, especially people from the Igbo people from the eastern part of Nigeria. I got great friends, people, leaders in the government that I speak with every day.
Yeah, that's so incredibly important to have those connections with people, because that's where, when you go to those investment bankers, the questions to ask or the objections they might have.
Yes.
When it comes to the average listener, what types of resources are you looking to equip young people with through the Economic Club in Virginia?
We want to work, so we have 3 different areas of intervention. So we're talking about entrepreneurship education. And also inside that, for example, for young starters, for startup, SMEs, so some of them might need some sort of, coaching, trainings, some sort of certification that they can use and go to the bank and say, we have all the capacities. So you better have to support us, because we have everything you need. And then we also have the technology capacity building. And this is for young people in Africa. Many of them don't have websites, so they have no visibility.
Sure.
Many even have never typed a keyboard. So are we planning to at least, help the young people to learn those basic, skills, so they can go online, do their own marketing, learn about, growth strategies and all those. So these are our 3 areas that we are trying to, and also we want to accelerate economic development. what do you mean by that is we want to connect, instead of partnership is key. How those young people can partner not only among themselves, but outside their countries, outside their region. Because sometimes people might focus in the Hampton Road where we can have resources in Washington, D.C. or, in other areas. So those are our three main areas. And in the future, we want to go beyond that. We want to, because when we talk about economic development, we always have trade that will be coming in. So we also speaking with the Department of Trade in Richmond, how we can collaborate to offer a better platform of trade between businesses in Hampton Road and those back in those countries.
Oh, wow. That is a lot to unpack there. So it sounds like you have three main initiatives that you're really pushing. Obviously, the main goal is empowering young people, right? Young people within the three countries you're sponsoring in Africa and also here in the Tidewater region.
Yes.
When it comes to those three sectors, I understand there is one for like startups, one for kind of like community local engagement. Would you mind clarifying that third one? I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, technology capacity building.
Technology, right? So like having the keyboards, having access to Wix or WordPress or somebody that can design a website that could then go to those investors and say, hey, this is a legitimate project, a business, and so on.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that. What do you say to those people who say Virginia already has that? Virginia Beach has VB Thrive. There's local government initiatives already in place. It's kind of like that age-old adage of, it's not broke, why fix it? What do you say to those people, and how do you incorporate your perception as a global thought leader to help educate those individuals to see past their own worldview?
Yes. Before I built the organization, I was able to speak to a lot of young people in those three areas. And what we want to do, we want to leverage those resources. Because sometimes people don't even know that they high five, that those resources exist. I spoke to a young lady in Afro yesterday. She has no clue about the resources out there. So we want to create a platform and leverage those resources, to direct those resources to areas that that people might need those resources. And I also say that people waste a lot of resources out here, while people might need the resources out of Virginia.
Saying in Virginia, a lot of resources are wasted.
People waste a lot of resources here. I went to a programs, and I didn't like how people were managing their resources.
Sure.
And I told the leader that I didn't use the term waste, but then you are misusing the resources right here. A lot of people need those resources to grow elsewhere. So we want to leverage those resources, to be able to, and we want to go international.
Absolutely.
We want to go international.
Yeah, of course, because with a global worldview, you have to go international to understand how everyone is affected at each point of the transaction, which in this case, it sounds like you're leaning more towards how do we adjust the trade portion of things to make sure that everyone is utilizing their resources to the utmost.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So how do these initiatives impact Virginia Beach communities specifically? For example, I know you'd mentioned there's a lot of waste necessary, specifically in Virginia. What does that look like for your initiatives to come alongside these current trade routes or these current systems in place to facilitate and bolster them to be more of an international focus? And when I use the word international, we know this, but just for context, everyone benefits. Everyone gets another dollar in their pocket, right? Every young person gets another opportunity to start a startup. Everyone gets a shot, which is why we like this country. Everyone can get a shot,
Yes.
right? And that's why we want to be able to share with the world that everyone gets one. Coming back from that, what did the initiatives look like for you to come alongside the folks here in the Virginia Beach area?
Yes. If we take the economic development space, there is. I went to California and I saw that they have a real active platform that bring businesses in California and those in Africa to collaborate and share knowledge, resources, and we don't have it in Virginia. So I'm working on a project and I call it Virginia Africa 2035. It's going to be a 10 years plan, for trade facilitation, and also being able to allow businesses in Hampton Road in Virginia and those in those countries to talk and share resources and and be able to work together. So, and that's will come with investment promotion, because there we have to put in place some sort of a capital system to allow those businesses to be able to work together. So, this is why we are planning for an event. We call it the Hampton Road Young Leaders Business Forum for May 2025. A kind of inviting businesses from those three countries and some other businesses here in Virginia to launch these great initiatives, and bring concrete a solution to the area, because I was able to speak to the Deputy Secretary of Trade in Richmond, Chelsea Jenskin, and they are trying to be involved in trade in those countries, but there is a lot of areas that are missing. And for having been working in this space for so long, for me, this is a practical solution, to bring those leaders together. So it's going to be launched in May next year, and we see how it is involved to create a better platform for collaboration, trade, and partnership.
I don't want to oversimplify it, but I am naive to the subject. When it comes to trade in general, what type of trade opportunities currently exist from Virginia to the African community that is not being currently leveraged?
There's a lot of, I would say,
because when I think trade as a Westerner, I think Amazon, right? I think Tesla. I think we are consumers. Most of us in the Western world a lot of us are consumers. So we buy and we give our money. I don't really think of trade as in exports, So could you help me understand what that looks like in the Virginia context?
I see here there is a company called SEMA CGM. It's the greatest, exporter, a trader, a player here in Virginia.
Sure.
They bring product and, services in Africa, for individual people, but there's not really a platform that can bring those companies together, and companies in Africa, to be able to, follow some sort of platform to collaborate. So this is lacking, and when this lacks, there is no. This makes things very complex, because he doesn't. Promote. Local investment and also international investment.
Sure.
And I remember the U.S. Agency for Trade went to Africa to lay the groundwork for those. But for having been in this space, for so long, this what I call it coming together area is missing, and for this benefit individual companies, and doesn't benefit the state.
Mm.
So by bringing those together, the state will be able to leverage this power. Behind those operations, and be able to have some sort of capacity to do more trade in Africa, because those countries, France dominates those regions, and the U.S. wants to have an impact in those regions. So, as I said, I've always to speak to Chelsea, and she appreciated my thought about how things are going, and I think that more things are coming. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like the businesses are on board, but not the state. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, Jean, obviously, community is what's fueling this, right? The community to bring people together. How do you believe individual contributions can collectively impact the economic growth of a community?
Yes.
What happens when we all help each other out?
Yes. Yes. This. Yeah, I've noticed that in Virginia, people do a lot of things in this area, but I can say at 85%, people do it individually, and it's not. Of course, when people do individually, that's a good thing, but it's not going to last. Going to last by having a platform that leverage those individuals. Of course, we can do it individually, but why not coming together?
Yeah.
To do it. And this, not only we set an example for young people to follow, but we also create some sort of a bond faster creativity for the young people. So that's the whole idea about the economic club, of Virginia. And I believe in the next coming months, many things will be out.
Yeah. I want to shift the perspective slightly,
Okay.
because I'm a planner, right? I love to plan. I plan the podcast episodes, my content, my business, and I like to plan it. But a lot of people sometimes like to hear some examples. And because stories are what brings us together, regardless of where we grew up, those stories, I think, in what we read, our literature kind of like intertwines us to each other, to our humanity. Is there a certain example of community initiative you've been involved in that had a significant positive impact? And if so, can you share with us what it was like to have an area adopt some of the workings that you've have created to further that community and to bring people together?
Yes. This the Club of Virginia is an example of what I've already done in the past in my country. Back to 2010, I remember the United Nations and the World Bank were working in a project to empower young women in rural areas, because many of them had to walk 10, 15, 20 miles, sometimes 30 miles, one way, and work 30 miles to come back, so 60 miles in total each day to go to school. So, and then for this project, they asked, of course, we are training those young people to go to work in offices, to be diplomat, but much of the work is in the agriculture space. So why not create some sort of economic development program for them to be able to to stay at home, make impact at home, and at the same time support their own community. So they reach out to me and say, you are the guy that you can send on the ground. I remember I spent about a year in this rural community. So it be some program for women that do trade, that sell in the market. We were able to have some sort of sponsorship funding for them to increase, their work. And this, We started with for 50 all the way up to almost 2,000 young ladies
Wow.
that were able to have the resources. And I told myself that I want to replicate the same work in the future because that's something that is practical and doesn't even require a lot of resources. And at the same time, it creates what I call community work in the minds of the young people. So that's the story that I have in mind. Each time I have something to do, I go back to the story, and it's keep inspiring me to do more work. And that's the same thing that I want to do with the Club of Virginia, and for those people in Africa.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean,
yeah. And then let's add
so
something.
incredible.
I have a local team in my home city, and it could have 15 people. And I have a local director who is the former mayor of the city, and he's working in the agro space. So we offering trainings, coaching young people, and I'm doing the same thing, and so this experience has left a great, a good impact, in what I do, and that's the whole idea behind the Club of Virginia.
Yeah. Wow. John, thank you for sharing that and breaking down not only the action plan items you have, but also the story behind it. Because, like you said, you've seen it all. You've gone out, you've done the work, you've literally done the legwork, and we appreciate you for that, and we appreciate you bringing this to our attention. For those who are, more on the analytical side, I would like to jump to topics and trends next. If that's all right.
Okay.
Let's discuss some current economic trends. What are some of the biggest economic challenges and opportunities you see for the Virginia Beach area in the coming years? When I hear Virginia Africa 2035, what are some of the challenges you're wanting to tackle through that time frame?
Yes. The issue is
Do we need more water parks?
okay. You see,
I'm going to get you in trouble, John.
you see, I spoke to the office of the Vice President, Kamala Harris. I spoke to somebody there 3 months ago about about them using trade as a weapon. It's a weapon. And now using trade as a weapon is limiting the U.S. capacity to do more business in Africa. So
limiting the ability to do business in Africa.
Yeah, in
correct?
Africa.
Okay.
Yes, because when people don't trust the person you send, even if they do business, they always think, okay, let's do it, but we can still change the partners and do so. So I told the man that don't overuse trade as a geopolitical tool. You can be angry with a country, but when it comes to economic development, you still have to do business with them because trade is the only way that countries can have international income. But if you cut ties with all those issues, where are you going to have the money to support your local economy? So he told me that, let me get back to you in a few days. He called me right after the call. He said, okay, you are right. I remember they were able to adjust a couple of issues they are having in Africa. There are those countries doing business with the U.S. See, so this trend is going on, using trade as a weapon. This is a very critical issue that we have to address. And if that's continue, people are traveling to other areas of the world to do business, and they're not coming in the U.S. And so the trust factor is something that we have to address. So you have to speak to leadership and say, of course, we can still disagree with partners, but when it comes to economic development, please don't stop doing business.
Yeah.
That's the main difficulty that is going on. And if you read my publications, I try to publish articles to let people know that, of course, we should not be doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your knowledge of geopolitical analysis is very extensive, and we do appreciate you sharing your wisdom on that, especially considering all of the moving parts and intricacies. I mean, like you said, when you were speaking to, Kamala Harris's office about limiting the business, because I'm assuming, and I would love a clarification here, that really disfranchises those community members to then go and get those jobs, to go and get those opportunities, right? Is that a fair understanding of that in a very simplified way?
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, as somebody that have been what I call have been blacklisted for many years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the African community in Washington D.C. anyway, because they don't like my my perspective. I like to be. I've studied the trade and geopolitics for my since my college years. So I know how trade influence geopolitics. And I always tell them that we should not be of course you can get money from the office because you are advising them, but don't do it in the wrong way.
Right.
Don't because people are losing jobs here in the US. We're doing that. If there's not investment in the US, there's no money to create jobs. So but things are coming back. I'm somebody that I don't give up. I've been able to speak my mind in different aspects, and my publications are always being appreciated in many ways. And even my next book is going to be addressing a couple of issues, and where the U.S. has to focus, its investments, its priorities in the next coming years. That's what partners in Africa will want. And if the U.S. keep on doing that, of course, U.S. can keep, having more businesses in Africa. And I remember sending the draft to somebody and say, of course, that's something that we have never thought about. And you are on point, So things, some more are coming.
Yeah. Incredible, Jean. Keep fighting the good fight. You mentioned your book. I'd love to dive into that next. You've written so much about and studied on matters of geopolitical world and bringing people together. Can you give us your 3-point plan? If you could snap it, get it done, what would your 3-point plan look like to make everything it is what you're looking to do happen? If you could expedite over the next year, what would that look like?
Yeah, my plan for writing is I have always have three steps. See the realities where how it is. Don't change it, even if you don't like it. Don't change it. And by doing that, you're able to know exactly what the challenges are and how we can go about that. And then the second point, you have to be able to have the critical players, those who have both the knowledge, the experience, and the trust to be able to to do the work. And then the third one is to leave your mind open to criticism about your work, even if you don't like what people say. When you go at the top and see the reality that people are facing on the ground, you're able to know exactly that the way you're taking is not the right one, even if this does benefit you, but you'll be able to address the issue. So those are my 3 plans. When I write my articles, I also have those plans in mind, my books. Let's come back to the book I published
yes, please.
a couple of months ago. The geopolitics of ACFTA, that stands for African Free Trade Agreement. There's a high-level geopolitics behind this free trade agreement because trade is always been driven by geopolitics. And many countries in Africa don't want to trade under the agreement because they want to lose a piece of their sovereignty. Of course, we don't want to let an international, organization lead the free trade area. And the actors who are in charge of leading the agreement in Africa are not addressing this area. So I asked one of the leaders, when countries refuse to trade under that, have you asked yourself why are they not trading under the agreement? He says no. I said, because there is a geopolitics behind that. Explain them where the resources are coming from to implement. If the U.S. gave hundreds of millions of dollars to of course, you have to state it. I say we receive support from the U.S. to advance our trade agreement. But when people don't know where the fundings are coming from, they don't want to trade because they don't want to be trapped somewhere in the future. And that's the main area that I've been addressing, in a book. I remember when I published an article about the same topic, and I received heavy calls of people to withdraw my article from the website. I said, no, that's the reality. We have to face it and make changes. And I decided to turn my article into a book to make more impact. And many people in the government have read the book. They know exactly, where to go, to address the issue, and many changes are coming.
And I'm sorry, we didn't even cover this. But what was the name of the fifth book you're referring to? What's the title?
Oh, it's
we're talking about it because we know, but yeah, just for that.
The fifth book is titled ACFTA and the African International Economic Order. Why? Because for having studied, and being involved in trade research for nearly 18 years now, all international economic orders have come from trade. And if you have to be implementing this agreement in Africa, you have to know what kind of order is coming. When you take the European Union single market, before people started to implement that, they did the knowledge work of the order itself, its objectives, its priorities, and how they're going to come together to achieve that work. And it took 12 years to remove trade barriers, and it took another 24 years to achieve what we have seen in Europe, that every country in the world, envy, in the world. So I asked them that if we don't build the knowledge work to let the masses know, the work we are doing, of course, we are going nowhere. So what I'm doing with my work, I know it's a very, I can't say dangerous, but it's a very difficult book to let it out. But I want to explain, that of course, this is an order. We must know the actors. Of course, African actors alone cannot do the work. We need international support. Who are the actors behind the project? I know the U.S. is being involved in many ways by pouring investments, in Kenya, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Senegal. These are the actors, but we don't know the actors. And the actors even don't know the priorities of the project. When the U.S. when I spoke to the leader in the Kamala Harris office, we don't know the objective of the free trade agreement. So we don't know how to put money out there. So I called somebody in Ghana. I asked him, what are the real objectives? When people want to fund the project, where should the money go?
Right, yeah.
Because it's too broad for them to exactly. If they put money, how can they have the money back in the future? The benefit, the outcome of that. So this book is coming to let out this groundbreaking work, and at the same time tell them that we need a scientific work behind the project to sustain it. People have done it. The U.S. has done it many times. China has done it, and European Union has done it. Why not? We can also do it. So this is something that is coming to lay out the groundwork. It's our groundbreaking book is almost ready. I'm sending to the editor sometime this month, and then plan for the release in November or December this year.
Wow. Incredible. Thank you for giving us that highlight of exactly the underworkings of something that is very complicated, even for the leadership. I mean, even for both sides, from the U.S. and the African side, it sounds like there still is a disconnect between how can we bring value? What type of resources do you need? What type of limitations do we need to put on ourselves? That community conversation that you're talking about is the guiding principle of this book, and obviously of the work that you are doing. I can imagine that would be frustrating to keep hitting that wall. It sounds like you're hitting the same wall.
Yes. When people, I always say that Africa is a very big home.
It's
Africa
huge.
is a very big home, and I can even say a village. And in a village, you have homes. You have homes, so you have different places, and for people to be able to sustain, the living in the village, we have to join hands, and work together. But at the same time, when things go wrong, we should be able to accept, other input, and people don't like to. I remember. But they like to hear from me because sometimes my
people
views
don't like to ask for help.
Yeah, because my views are really straight, and people don't like, sometimes
Sure.
the view I expressed. But those are the issues we have to face. The U.S. is doing a lot to support the project, and we have to also bring value to the U.S. If the U.S. pour hundreds of millions of dollars to support a project, what kind of value are we providing to the United States? So the project is too broad, and it's going in every direction that I don't want to, I sometimes refuse to speak on some of the platform because I like to be working on the ground. I'm very pragmatic on the work. I received a call 2 weeks ago to speak on I asked the lady, what was the outcome of the event? What are the takeaways of the event? What are we doing exactly to advance the project? So that is not. I said, no, I cannot speak at the event because I want something that can bring value straight to the project because we need to support the project. So I know it's very frustrating. Some people have told me that they will never read my work because of that, and I don't. I keep doing what I have to do. I know it's sometimes very. I remember I had to speak at one of the events in DC 2 months ago, and last minute my name got removed.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And when one of the leaders went to the event, he asked them, but Jean was supposed to be here. And they said, oh, you forgot about it. He said, no. You know why you remove his name. You see, so those things are happening. But for us to have impact on a project, to have to, advance, we have to accept the realities and address them. So I'm somebody that I don't... I work a lot behind the scene. I've never even thought about coming on the scene like that. But my groundwork in the past,
Sure.
have been able to push me in some other direction. So I work with a lot of young people in Africa. I'm even working with somebody in Senegal to release a great project for young people nationally. I'm the mind behind the project. And in Cote d'Ivoire, I'm working with the mayor of my home city to release a project in the area. So I'm very pragmatic, and people don't like how things are. And we need to face the reality. And my publications are all going. in that directions. I know they are really critical, but we have to be able to to speak a truth, and if our partners tell them that we need you, and if you support us, this is what we have to you will be getting. You have to be so. I have about after this book, I have 3 other books that are ready. I have Geopolitics Reimagined, that is almost ready. I have Business at War, that is almost ready. And I will also publish a book in 2026 about rebuilding the U.S. international economic order, because it's facing challenges. So I'm proposing some pathway to do. So those are the work that I'm doing. I'll be now inspired by the U.S. international liberal order. I've read I've seen my mentors, Professor John Eikenberry. I've read most of his books. Professor Mearsheimer, I've read almost all his books. So they have been able to to inspire most of my work. Even the book I'm writing, I go sometimes insert some of the articles, to have ideas, how to shape my work.
Yeah.
So trade and economic development space. That's where I'm putting all my my weight to support how I can both young people and the African free trade area that is going on.
I have a question, and I mean this because I want to see it work. Do you think that will be enough?
No. I think it's not. It's not enough. At least I can inspire.
Yeah.
I remember the book I've just published is one of the kind of the first book on the topic. And I've received a lot of professors, teachers, economic leaders in Africa who have used some of the part of the book to, understand how they can be involved in a project. So I'm not doing for money. I'm not publishing my book for money. I'm publishing them for impact.
Right.
And 3 people are writing books based on what I've just published. And when they publish, they'll be able to inspire the young people to do the same thing. And by the end of the year, in let's say 5 years from now, we'll be having many people who will be able to understand the project itself and how to support it. Because people don't support it because they don't know the project itself.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to be able to, explain, not only the business side, but most importantly, the political aspect side of trade. Because people don't know that when it comes to the U.S. here, the Department of Trade is the most powerful, department here.
Yeah.
So we are able to let young people know that, of course, trade is business, but trade is also politics, and they know exactly how to be supportive of that. And that's my mission in terms of writing, for the next, let's say 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm planning to release at least 20 to 25 books in the next 10 years about the same topic, to have many young people, write, and also leave impact.
Yeah. I love what you're talking about when you say impact, because I think there are certain moments and chapters in our lives where we are reflecting, right? And if we're writing, I'm not always writing, but the times I write, it's like a reflection.
Yes.
So it's almost like you're reflecting on this time of inspiration you had as a young college student, identifying the history of geopolitics and the challenges that face it. I mean, your first step it probably gets you a lot of blacklisted from events, but your first step is to look at something honestly and candidly, because we do live in a a lot of times, from the Catholic faith, a broken world, right? A world that won't ever be fully restored. However, in spite of all of that, you continue to use that inspiration to challenge the next set of folks.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that.
Let me add something.
Yeah.
In my college years, when the French Israeli priest, saw me, the first thing, when I went to his office, he told me that don't measure your future success based on how many people you know, but draw your circle of impact. And this has been my inspiration. He say the degree of your impact is also determines, the degree of people that we know in the future. So let me explain this. When you believe in yourself, when you are brilliant in your work, this imposes respect of people in different areas. No matter what the titles are, CEOs, professors, so they admire your work and they are able to support you. So coming from a small hamlet in the past, I didn't have the resources to attend school, and my work at school got many people involved. People from the church, professors, teachers. Some say, "Yeah, you got some money here, out of here. Come and take it. I know you like some copybooks. You don't have money to something to eat. Of course, take some of money, buy what you want." So you see, so your circle of impact is what you have to focus on. How much footprints you can leave on people, and by amplifying this work, you will be able to have all the resources you need. I have never imagined to be where I am today. 20 years from now, but the consistency in my work, in my approach, and also the honesty, of telling things how they are, of working with different people. I've been able to have some of the resources, So every month, every week, I will go back to this philosophy.
Yeah.
My circle of impact. And I'm writing a book. That will be a free book for young people to focus on the circle of impact. Now on the circle. Not based on how people they know in politics, but the impact they want to leave. We make them have the resources they need to achieve their dreams. So all my works, this is my life philosophy. In the non-profit work, in my corporation work. So everything I do, I focus on my impact. So this impact will be, we impose respect, we impose admirations, we impose, we attract, we bring people to support the project. So yeah, so this is another book that is coming on. It's almost ready as well. I write a lot. I use my free time to push my work. So last night I wrote almost 2 chapters of that. Last night, until 2 a.m. in the morning.
Wow!
And I'm releasing it to inspire people, that don't have enough resources to focus on the impact, and just work, and the work they do, if they do it well, that will be able to sustain, push people to bring the resources they need to work. Yeah. So sometimes I don't reach out to people before I got here. there's a minister in a different country that reached out to me. He wants to serve on the board of the Economies of Virginia. I've never asked her to serve on the board, but she reached out. She got my phone number, my WhatsApp, my home address. Please call me when you are available to discuss how I can support the project.
Yeah.
And she said something, you are a passionate guy about what you do. And I love people who do that. Who come from nowhere and keep pushing until they achieve their dream. So I'm able to support your work. Call me anytime you want, and I'm here.
Jean, thank you so much for sharing all that. And where can folks go to learn more about what incredible work you're doing here in the Virginia area and beyond?
Yeah, we have a website. I think it's www.econclub.com. And I also have my phone number, 703-200-4022. They can call me and I have everything they have, every detail. I'm also available on LinkedIn. I'm highly active on LinkedIn. And I'll be able to answer all the questions they have.
Jean, what economic myths or misconceptions do you often encounter, and how do you address them?
I would say I go to the programs themselves, and because the program determines almost everything I do. So I will go back to understand, the background of the project, these objectives, and this avoid us from, having a lot of misconceptions, inside that. So I took a different approach. It's more pragmatic to go straight to the topic itself.
That's a great piece of advice, considering how much information is out there. You're just go to the event, take your notes, talk to the person doing the research themselves, and you can stay away from a lot of myths. How do you, and this is kind of in continuation with this question, feel free to expand. How do you stay updated with the latest economic trends and incorporate them into your work, especially in the geopolitical world? There's something always happening. How do you stay up to date with everything?
Oh, yes. I'm involved in a lot of international programs. I have a lot of people in different countries as well. And I remember reading every newsletter in my email for issues that are coming in. And sometimes let's take the trade area. For having worked in this space for many years, I know kind of like two years ahead, what's going to happen. So I'm kind of anticipating some of the events in the area. So I go to events. I speak to a lot of economic development programs. I support when I can a lot of programs. I read a lot about I read about different magazines. So this keep me giving the information almost every day. That.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds still like a lot of work, but it's something you're passionate about and something you've written a lot about in your book. So that's incredible. How do you see the role of technology shaping the future of economics, both here in the Virginia and, of course, the parts of Africa that you work?
Yes, I did some work last year about the role of technology, and in this work, I said that technology is I call it the digital order. Digital order. We are in an era of emerging technologies, and no one can escape. And that's why in our program we talk about technology capacity building for young people, for example, in Africa, because the next couple of, let's say, next 5 to 10 years, with AI, taking, almost a shortcut in everything, people are forced to learn technology. So this I can say is becoming an obligation,
Yeah.
for them to learn, because the next 5, 6 years, 10 years from now, they will not be able to, to compete, to compete in this highly complex business world without technology.
Yeah, I've heard the phrase "super AI" as in like the next gen of AI that we might be able to see in the workplace and also throughout different industries. Jean, would you mind telling us a little bit more about growing up in Côte d'Ivoire?
Côte d'Ivoire.
Côte d'Ivoire. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit more about growing up in Côte d'Ivoire, Africa, and of course, what was it like?
Oh yes, I was born in a very remote village. We have no access to electricity, no clean water, and I have to walk. I have to walk 20 miles every day to go to school. When after high school, when I went to college, I went to the city. So that's what and then we have to use oil lamp, to study. And when I went to the city, that for the first time I have to sit down with a light like that, and study. And from that moment, I saw that, of course, I call it change. Change,
Yeah.
a positive change. And I became a leader very early. On my 7th grade, I was the head of the school. We have an economic club, and I was the leader. I tapped every other leaders who were in 12th grade. I tapped everyone. We told me that because of your writing skills, we needed to be out here. So
Yeah.
I was writing the report, the analysis, everything else. And this continued when I went to university. It was the same thing. So I have been a leader for since 1997. Now I've been leading a lot of programs underground. I don't like to be in front. And I got some brothers. I got brothers and sisters as well, cousins. So I'm somebody that everybody liked. I don't argue with nobody. I'm always focused on what I do, committed. And I have friends in almost every sector, politics, business, government, international relations. So coming from I come from a very small city back in Côte d'Ivoire.
Jean, I got some fun questions for you here.
Okay,
Some
okay.
rapid fire questions. So
Okay.
we'll just make them quick and fast.
Okay.
What's your favorite book on economics, aside from the ones that you've written?
Oh, my is I would say after, it's a policy area. I would say After Victory.
After Victory.
Yeah, of John Eikenberry.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's when the USSR were dissolved. So now the US National Liberal Order came in after Victory. So he was expressing an overview about how the US is going to to implement that from strategy to policy.
Yeah.
And also, so that's talk about international relations, economic trade, in different areas. It's my most favorite book.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite local restaurant in the Virginia Beach or surrounding area that you like to go to?
Oh yes, that is I like what I call it. I like KFC.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I came to the US, the first thing I ate was some chicken from KFC. Yeah. So I will go sometime to.
You know the slogan of KFC.
Oh,
right?
yes, yes.
Your finger looking good. Did you get any mashed potatoes and gravy too, or just the chicken?
Oh, you got the chicken. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, KFC underrated for sure. What's your favorite hobby? And I know you work a lot. I know you read a lot. So technically that could be a hobby, but I'm just curious, is there any other hobbies that you enjoy outside of work, outside of writing and advocating for your causes?
The hobbies reading and writing are my my two main hobbies. And something I do is to sometimes I will leave my phone open for young people
Yeah.
in Africa who ask me some question about how they can grow, their stuff. So I'm kind of limiting, in those areas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. Oh wow. My favorite quote is from I don't remember the quote. I mean the exact.
Sure, paraphrases.
Quote is from Maya Angelou. Is to keep doing what you like, and always try to perfect it. Because there's no perfection. Always try to improve what you do.
Yeah.
So that's my my best quote, and also my I have another quote is from the Bible as well.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
It's from the, I think, Romans 8:30, something like that. Is for those that God chose, he will help them. I don't remember exactly, but those God chose, you help those people grow. You justify them. So this is my from where I come from. I will use that for my entire life. It's also translated to the circle of impact.
Yeah.
That's where the praise found. They say, when God chooses somebody, he will help you have the resources. So because of your impact, he will let you have the resources to achieve your dreams.
John, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you too. Thank you for the invitation.